Welcome to the D Shift podcast, where we provide inspiration, motivation, and education to help you transition from the challenges of divorce to discover the freedom and ability to live life on your own terms. Are you ready? Let's get this shift started. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the D Shift, Redefining Divorce and Beyond. And I am so happy to have a lady that I've listened to her, I've been in groups with her, and she is such a phenomenal resource for any woman going through any kind of stress, life experience, or somebody who just really wants to change where they are in their current life. Tessa Lynne Alburn is on a mission to support spiritually inclined women to live an ideal life by becoming excellent through a system of reigniting soul, expanding capacity, and raising their energy to the highest vibration. Women come to know the deep pleasure of giving back to the world in a bigger and more wonderful way. Tessa is a soul connection coach, feminine energy mentor, Reiki master, and master healer. And I am so happy to have Tessa and her wisdom on the show today. So welcome, Tessa.
Thank you so much, Mardi. I am really happy to be here. And I also have, we've been in things together and summits and this and that and the other. And I really appreciate the care that you give your audience and that you show up in your heart first.
Well, thank you. And I say this to people, the internet is so expansive, but it's also a very small place. Like the people you keep running into are the people you're supposed to make connections with. That's what I truly believe. So Tessa,
I think you're right about that. Yes.
Yeah. And Tessa, tell us a little bit, if you wouldn't mind, how did you get to this particular point in life? Because I'm sure when you were a little girl, that wasn't the first thing when people asked you, what do you want to do when you grow up? You're probably not using those descriptors, were you?
Definitely not. I was introverted as a little girl, and I had to learn to go deep inside myself to feel safe, and surrounded myself with nature to feel safe. And so part of my journey is around that. But there was also this deep desire to connect with the cosmos. And one of the ways I did that to begin with was through mythology. So fast forward to where I am today, I have been on a big healing journey myself, of course, right? Somebody doesn't become a healer usually because they just want to, be awesome or fix people or something like that. They know the power of healing. And I have been through all kinds of deep downs and high highs. And I am feeling really blessed now to have cultivated many skills and been able to have my life impacted by incredible people in their fields who went beyond what the mainstream was saying. And they were like, this is what will help you actually get better, not what people are saying is going to help.
And it's amazing. This always astounds me how this shift has happened in the recognition of, I'm going to call them non-traditional Western treatment methods or healing methods, and whether it's mental health or physical health or spiritual health, there really has been a shift in how people are open to trying new things and are open to having those lived experiences.
Yes. And I think part of this is because of the turmoil that we've seen globally, locally, and people have been forced, the ground they're standing on has been feeling shaky to them.
Yeah. And
so that's when people get into motion. They're like, okay, wait a second. I've tried this thing 1,000 times. It's not working. What I thought was going to happen isn't working. And so that they start to open up. There's a little bit of crack in the veneer, as I like to say. And then I think one of the other influences that we don't often give a lot of credit to, but I think it is happening right now, is this entire cosmic loop that we're like this spiraling up. I won't say it's a loop. It's more like a spiraling up is also occurring. There's growth. So expansion is happening in the entire cosmos. And we are here at an exciting time. We know every astrologer, on the planet is saying, yes, we're coming into this, we're in the age of Aquarius, and yet it takes time. And we had a little bit of insight into the age of Aquarius, back in the 60s, if one was around then, peace, love, and all that stuff in response to a terrible war that was going on that didn't make any sense to anybody. So people will start to look for alternatives when the bullshit hits the fan. It's like, no, I've heard it a million times. It's not working. I need something more.
Yeah. And I really appreciate that idea of when things get kind of crazy, because we all know right now things are kind of crazy, that people do look for a way to come back into a simpler time, not simpler in technology or understanding, but simpler in less emotionally conflicted. That's kind of where I'm going with that. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I love that. And so when people crave that, I hadn't really thought about it like that, but I like that idea. When they crave that simplicity, that tells me, people are looking for a lack of confusion, lack of stress, right? Less inner turmoil.
Yeah.
And it's really the inner conflicts that we have, or that we suppress, that we repress, that we deny, all of that stuff is having a huge impact on what's actually going on in our daily lives. So if we can start to actually master that, to come into harmony with it, we can't just master it like that. It's not like that. But we can embrace it, embrace the conflicts, and work with them, come to understand them, and then that brings us closer to wholeness and happiness and less stress.
Yeah, I love that, because so many people, the second they feel any kind of stress or tension in their life, the first thing they do is run the other way, or deny it, or suppress it, or pretend it doesn't happen. And then we know what happens is that all that crap gets stored in the body, and it comes out in sickness, fatigue, lack of motivation, just not feeling good. And for people that are going through stressful life transitions, whether it's a divorce, death of a spouse, changing jobs, having to go through a move or something, can you talk about those kind of conflicts and stressors, and how we can deal with those on a more productive way?
Yes, I think that all those stressors, except with the exception of one of those, and I will just speak to this briefly, I think grief is slightly different. It's a huge stressor. And I think it's different in that it can cycle for a long time. And people who are going through grief need ongoing support. And, it's really hard at that time when one is feeling like you just want to cave in. It's hard to ask for support.
Yeah.
But I do want to encourage people listening, if that's what's going on for you, it's a normal part of our human process to have grief cycles, but we want to receive support during them, and they become less stressful. All the others are pretty much, there's a time frame where we know we know there's something coming up, I have to worry about that promotion, or I know we're going to be moving, my husband took a job, or I'm taking a job on the other coast. That instantly can cause stress, because our minds want to jump to all the things that we think we're supposed to be doing, and then we're living in two places at once. Now, that can happen with a move. It can happen with a job. Any of the examples that you just gave. Divorce. What's life going to be like afterwards? Oh, I just have to get away from him. Wait a second. I got to keep the kids safe. But then what?
Right.
Right. So all that is sort of happening, whether it's conscious or unconscious. That's going on inside of us. And the unconscious part of us and the subconscious will try their very best to keep us safe in whatever way they think we're going to be safe,
right,
which is not always the way that's going to work best. But all that unconscious stuff is trying to help protect us, to keep us from dying, basically. It's really, if there's anything black and white about us, I think it's that. Like all fear leads to, the fear of death.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Or, non-existence. And so when we can look at those things, when we can ask ourselves the questions, what might really be going on inside of me? Then we can start to pull apart, and discern what's on my intuition, what are the decisions and the choices I'm making from a place of stress or fear, because those decisions almost never help unless it's actually happening in the moment, like your car is on fire.
Right.
And you're in it, right? You need to get out. Yeah, fear is a good thing then. And in all these other situations of transition, that stuff is usually not actually occurring. There is no death imminent, but we will feel that way. So we want to learn how to calm ourselves down, be present to all the feelings, and instead of pushing them aside or repressing them or drinking them away or whatever we do to numb out, watching 5,000 YouTube videos, one after the cat videos, which
Right.
of course I love. But, when we use it to numb, it's not healthy. We can
Right.
use cat videos and other things like it as healthy distraction, but there is a difference.
Yeah. And I really appreciate you saying that, because it's a fine line sometimes, isn't it, between, is this really something that is a life and death decision? Or is it something that we just, our brains are telling us fight or flight, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, faint, all these different things that that it can be telling us. And we just take whatever our brain tells us as the gospel truth. Like, that's the truth. We almost have to have a dialogue with ourselves, right? And say, oh, come on, do you really mean that this is that serious? Or, you really need to do that, talking through these things with yourself.
We do. We can do it a number of ways. Like I love your the laughter there, like, oh, really? Come on, is it really, do or die? But most people, when they're in stress, they're not able even to access that laughter, right?
Sure.
That comes afterwards, after they've off-gassed a little bit of stress in some way, and they catch themselves, or a friend catches them and says, I think you're going to be okay. It's not that serious. But we want to find methods, practices, ways that are normal to us, so we're not like in the middle of stress trying to learn a new skill.
Right.
Because it's harder, that's all. Just learn it now, learn to journal, learn like a few questions that support you, have a morning practice, have an evening practice, whatever it is. I think I'm a big believer in ritual and practice. And I'm not talking about, making a witch's brew or whatever with toad's feet, if they have feet. And it's really about the ritual of sacredness that we want to bring in, blah, 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 more, and weave that into our lives, so that we are bringing a reverence to our days and laughter. So we can also have irreverence in there, but we want to bring mindfulness. Some people talk about it like mindfulness, but that just sounds boring to me sometimes. So I'd like to ritualize, a morning coffee can be a ritual, right? We can make the coffee, we can have awareness that we're making the coffee or the hot tea, and the soothing of it when we go to sip it and we feel so good and we're, oh, that's just nurturing.
Yeah.
I'm going to pause and be on the sofa with myself. What am I feeling today? What's going on? Wow. Oh, I'm running some anxious energy in my toes right now. That's interesting. And just becoming aware. And then as we do that, our breath normalizes. It goes from running, kind of a running breath,
Right.
to a deeper exchange of oxygen and CO2 as we exhale, rather than needing to force those things or try to learn those things when everything's completely in crisis. And then we have what I would say is a triage situation.
Right. And that idea of having a ritual does not include grabbing this device and scrolling through social media or the headlines or your email. Ritual is not the same as a to-do list, right? I'm kind of jumping in here, but I see so many people who say, yes, this is my morning routine. I wake up in bed and I go through my email and I look and see what I've got to do. And then I go make coffee and I sit down at the table. I respond to my emails. That's not what you're talking about, right, Tessa?
That is so not it. Yes. I would say email is like the last thing you want to pay attention to. What you want to do is create spaciousness for your being. So that might look like, oh, I'm going to take a half an hour to nurture myself as I take a shower. So it doesn't have to be like some half hour that you're wasting.
Yeah.
You can, right? You can go in the shower and you can let any intensity or upset or just worry, usually the worry, just send it down the drain as you're showering, right? Like that's a nice one. One of my friends who used to do something called radiant embodiment, she was amazing when she was doing that work. She taught me to do an energy shower. And it's very much kind of like a qigong move where you just literally just reach out slowly to the light of the universe and all the good things that the universe wants for you and bring them in as you're showering. That, as we bring our deepest intentions to that becomes sacred. That is a ritual worthy of taking time to do. And it starts to have an impact on us. We do it over and over and over. And then we're in that energy longer amounts of time during our day. We are able to set intentions from that place, not goal-less. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get that. I'm going to get 5,000 things done. And trust me, I'm really good at that stuff too. But if I didn't have a way to connect with my intention and the love of the universe, the love of the earth, the land, the sky. It doesn't matter where you live. You can be in a city and you can connect with the sky and you can connect with something greater than yourself that you are part of. You're not nothing. You're part of it and you're important for being here. And so whenever we create any kind of ritual, I think if we bring love, compassion, or an expanded point of view to it, that's going to serve us in our day.
Yeah. And I just, the idea of incorporating this into things that you have to do anyhow. You have to take a shower. Well, you don't have to, but most people are going to take a shower either in the morning or the evening. And just having that opportunity to just let go of everything in your head and just be present, just enjoy the sensation of the water and really smell the soap. And, if you use, it always amazes me. I have this citrus face wash and it always amazes me when I use it in the shower, it seems to enhance the aroma. And I just feel this lovely smell of lemons and it just invigorates me. Like I like aromatherapy and stuff, but it's nothing to do with that. It's just the fact that has become, like you say, a ritual. And when I don't do it, like when I'm traveling and I just have I get up in a hotel room, nothing's comfortable, it puts me off for the rest of the day in a not in an uncomfortable way, but just in a different way. I mean, I try to do a little bit of meditation or whatever, just even 5 minutes is a big difference.
Well, I love what you're talking about right here. I think this is a simple way, a very accessible way that people can create a ritual for themselves. And I love scent. What you're talking about is that the smell of the lemony citrus thing. And for you, that's really powerful. You've created enough associations with it now. When you sniff it, you have I feel good feeling, right? That's what we want. Right. That's what we want to create is good feelings. So good feelings need to be part of our rituals. And so coffee is one of mine. Vanilla is another, right? And I just traveled for a couple of weeks and it was nonstop. Like I barely had time to, just chill out. But it was great, and I needed my stuff. I had my lavender oil, and I had another kind of a cypressy thing that makes me feel like I'm in the forest somewhere.
Right.
And scent is very, very strong
Right.
for many of us. Yes, so that would be a pretty easy one to get to begin with.
Yeah, and I was going to say the use of essential oils, and I know you got to be careful because some people are very sensitive to them, just like they're sensitive to perfumes. But I have found that traveling with a little roller ball of, and I'm not going to give a plug for the company, but they're a really good company. If you want to know, send me an email. And they have all these different oil blends, and they have like forest, and they have sunlight, and they're very evocative of the beach and all this kind of stuff. And you're
Yes.
right, just rubbing some on your hands and just taking some deep breaths can really just connect you back with that. I can feel my whole body calming. Yeah.
Yes.
Tessa, this has been so fantastic. I can't believe how fast the time goes. If people want to reach out and find out more about what you do and connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
The best way to do that is go to my website, sayyes-to-your-soul-podcast.com. And right there on the homepage, I have a free gift. It is 8 stages. It's a roadmap to becoming excellent. And I'm not talking about the kind of excellence that's all about achievement. I'm talking about the kind of excellence that comes from within, that where you know you have mastery and you feel great about yourself. So that's a great way. I'm also on Facebook here and there, and LinkedIn, and I have a podcast, Say Yes to Your Soul.
So definitely listen in to Tessa's podcast. Put that on your subscription list. And thank you, Tessa, for being here. Thank you all for listening in to this episode of The D Shift. And don't forget to tune in again next week. Thanks for listening and supporting the D Shift podcast. If you would like to attend live trainings by our amazing guests and have a chance to ask questions and get answers from our experts, join the D Shift crew. For more details and to sign up, head on over to www.divorcecoachforwomen and click on the podcast page.